Hi and welcome back to my channel. It is time for Art with Nona. I found something today that might be good for all of you home crafters and people who just want a really thorough set to use in your sketchbook. I'm hoping. I haven't tested it yet, so I'm hoping to get these swatched out for you and we'll see how they look. It comes in a nice, fairly sturdy box. It's the Mungyo set, the professional watercolor. I'm not sure. I've used the Mungyo Gallery pastels and I've enjoyed them, so I kind of was intrigued by their watercolors to see how intense these colors are, because their gallery pastels, the soft pastels, are very vibrant and I like them. It says on here, professional watercolor, passion for masterpieces. These professional watercolors have vivid color intensity, brilliant and transparent colors with superior dilution and superb light fastness. These are made in Korea. It's a set of 48, and you can see it just shows you the range on the back with their company color numbers. These are not pigment numbers. It's just the number that they assign it to the company, or excuse me, in the company when they're making them. So let's see here. I've started doing my swatches. The case is nice. Oh, I forgot to check. Yes, it does have a finger hold thing. It's kind of heavy. I don't know if I would ever use those. Take this with me for plein air, because when you're standing there a long time, it's just a lot to hold. Pardon the reflection of my light. When you open up your watercolor case, you'll have these mixing layers, and here's the range of paints. I've already started to unwrap them, as you can see. And you also have a mixing layer down here. And whenever you buy watercolor, it did not come with the brush or the pencil. I put these in here to test to see if they would fit. And I'll take them out this way. This is what I was going to show you. When you buy watercolor, this tray comes out and you have more mixing space. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wells here. So that adds to your mixing space. This is one of my favorite brushes. I just wanted to see if it would fit in. It's a pretty standard short handle brush size. It fits in great. The pencil fit in there as well. So this would be a nice set to take with you if you're traveling and you had room in your suitcase, or if you just wanted to keep everything together. It feels like a little bit heavy to take with me when I go plein air, because I do like to hike in a little bit, and I don't know, I like to travel light. I was beginning to swatch these here and I thought, oh, I should show you the whole process. So I wanted to explain to you how your watercolor set works. Do you see these tabs here that are on either end? You just push those out and that creates a pressure to keep it fairly secure, and that's the same with these here. Now I've taken all of these out already, and when you take them out, you just pop them out like this. Let me show you on this permanent violet here. You just lift it and pop it out, and then before you put it back in, after you've unwrapped it, you can bend that flange down and you push it in, and then you can snap it in and it will stay there without sliding back and forth. These are in pretty securely as it is, but I like to bend that just a little bit more so that it doesn't slide around. Now, here is the black. We've got a good range of colors here, and I will go over all of their color names and pigment information when we swatch them. But this is a pretty standard packaging for watercolors. You have your outer wrapper and then some form of inner wrapper. The outer wrapper information has these, that it is ASTMD certified, which means it is safe, and the Series A is the tier of the cost of the company for production, and I could not find a corresponding table on the packaging, but maybe they have one on their website. And this solid black usually means that it is opaque or staining, as opposed to transparent, which would be a hollow square, although those symbols aren't universal, so it might mean something else. And then 3 stars, that usually has to do with the light fastness. They don't say which scale they use for light fastness, so I thought what I would do after we make the swatch is I will tape the swatch in the window and we'll come back and check it in a month and see how it did. I live in Colorado, so we get an awful lot of sunshine, so that would be a good test. And I have a window here that gets direct sun part of the day, so that would be a good test. At any rate, this I'm going to save for my color swatch. You take off the little cellophane wrapper, and it has the corresponding company color name here, which would imply that you could order them if you used up a color. You could just get a hold of the company and somehow, or just order the half pan of 860. They're black. I'm not sure if that's true, but maybe that's just for their factory codes. I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna pop this back in. So satisfying. And when I am done with this, I'll get these all unwrapped and you can enjoy the rainbow here, like Skittles. When I am done with this and have the swatch chart ready, I will be back. I've got my color swatch chart already. Sorry, that's my speaker talking to me. Oh my goodness, I'm making a mess here. Anyway, I've got the color swatch chart ready to go, and because I'm old and can't see small print, I wrote on there in handwriting. You probably can't decipher what the pigment information is. Now, I'm not sure all of this is correct. Some of these pigments I've never even heard of. However, I think there's a typo because both of these two say that they're PR81. That probably isn't true. So, you know, whatever. This is not a set that you would use if you were really concerned about pigment information or, you know, making professional artwork. I don't think, even though they say they're professional paints, I'm sure they're going to be fine. They're very pretty. These first four are iridescent, and you have a good color selection here. They've got a lot of blues, a lot of greens, good selection of reds. So let's do some swatching and let's see how they come out. I'm going to apologize to you guys right away for all of the camera movement. I'm working on a better setup to hold my my phone still while I'm filming, and I don't have it yet, so bear with me. I'm just going to spray these paints with some water. I've got just a regular spray bottle here, and I'm going to spray the paints to activate them. And let's see what we can do here. I've got some clean water. I like to, when I do a swatch, I like to get the little area wet where I'm going to swatch and then go in with some of the paint. Oh gosh, they activate really well. I'll show you on the next one. Okay, they don't have a lot of flow to them, but I can really see that white in there that they're using. I imagine that these might come out a little bit chalky, but you know, for working in your sketchbook or crafting, I think they're gonna be just fine. Let's see if we can pull that bead down a little bit. Okay, yeah, those are really nice. I like the way the color gradient goes. You know what, I do this all the time. I get a little overzealous with my paints on my swatch chart and I run into one another. Let's see if I can be more careful on this one here. We'll just skip over to the silver. And then I want to show you how, oops, here we go. I just want to show you what I'm doing. See how that re-wets so easily and that a lot of paint comes up? And we're just going to put it down here, pull that down. Now that one doesn't seem to have the white chalkiness that the copper did. I don't use iridescent paints a lot, but I think either of these would be just fine. I'll be back in a minute. All right, that's gonna look like the gold magically appeared, and it kind of did. My son called and I had to chat with him, and while we were talking, I just filled in the gold, but I put a lot of water on that one. You can see that kind of came out a little bit wonky. Let's just do this real quick. Add a little bit more. I gotta tell you, just from the three of them right now, that copper is not my favorite one. It looks like a milky pink in my light. I don't know what you guys see on the film, but anyway, let's continue. Now we're going on to the pearl white. Like I said, all these iridescent ones, I just don't really use that much. I mean, they're fun to use. They're really fun to use on black paper. That's still wet, but you can see that it's got some mica in there. It's just not something that I do with my art, but I think it's really cool to have them in a set. White looks pretty good, looks a little bit opaque, and you're thinking, and you're crazy, I can't see that on the black paper, on the white paper, but here's a little sheet of black paper that I have. Oh, pardon my arm. I'll show you these on black. There's the white. It's almost like a gouache. Pretty opaque. And here's that pearl white. And here comes the silver. And this isn't even watercolor paper. I think it's a piece of cardstock. We'll put the gold up here. And lastly, the copper. Now, they might not look like much right now. Let's go ahead and give them a little shot from the heat gun. And let's see what comes up. Got a lot of water on there. I'm sorry about that. Try to get these a little drier for you. There, you can see some of that iridescence start to come out. Whoops. The white down there, that's the one at the bottom. That is acting like gouache. The second one there, is the pearl white, and then we've got the silver, the gold. That's got a nice sparkle to it. These would be fun for doing holidays, Father's Day, cards, things like that. So, okay, there's the ones on white that I think would look better on white. I'll set that right up there so that you can still see it. And let's see here, I've got do this real quick. We have white, pearl white. Is that right? Yeah, pearl white. And this one is called silver, gold, and copper. Okay, now back to our task at hand. We're moving on to jaune brillant. For those of you that don't know what that means, it translates to brilliant yellow. That's a pretty good jaune brillant. It's typically a peachy kind of a color. That one's pretty good. I think that looks fine. I'm gonna, to save time, I'm gonna zip through these a little bit and not wet the paper first. Naples yellow, again, is another one that is a little bit semi-opaque. That one looks good too to me. The next one we have up is yellow ochre, one of my best friends. I use yellow ochre a lot. That's not a bad shade of yellow ochre. I kind of like that one. Scoot this down here a little bit so we can get the rest in the frame. Now we're coming up on, does that say burnt umber? No, raw umber, I'm sorry. Raw umber. Okay, that looks a lot like some of the ochres that I have, the yellow ochres that I have, and the yellow ochre looks a little bit more, I can't think of the name of the color, but I don't know, somewhere between those. Like I said, the pigment information is a little iffy on these, but that's not going to stop you from enjoying yourself and creating some really pretty pictures with it. Here comes the French gray. I love my French gray colored pencil. This one has a really nice semi-sheer quality to it. They've got the solid black square, so they must mean that it's kind of either semi-transparent or opaque, but I kind of like that one. Indigo, another one of my favorites. Oh, that looks like Prussian blue. That doesn't look like indigo, but that's okay. Still a very beautiful color. Black, I don't know what kind of black, it just says black. PBK 9, is that ivory black? I can't remember. Can you guys see that one? Probably not. Let me scoop this up. There you go. There's the end of that row. And now we'll move on to this row here. First one we're going to be doing is called Permanent Light Blue. Very pretty color in the pan. Oh yeah, that's nice. Kind of a turquoise of sorts. And then we've got what they call yellow green. Yeah, that looks like a May green or a, I know my M Grand, it looks like the Permanent Green Light. Sap green. That one's got a lot of yellow undertone to it. Sap green is one of those colors that, even though it's a convenience color, I love to have it because it just makes everything so much easier when you're painting landscapes. Cadmium green light. Oh, okay, that almost looks like phthalo green to me. A little bit lighter, but maybe an emerald green. I don't know. They call it cadmium green light. I have not heard of that color, but it's pretty. We'll use it. Hooker's green. That looks like a pretty good hooker's green. Kind of a true green in my book. Oh, that sap green is drying nicely. I like that. Scoot this up so you can see the next bit. Viridian. Let's see, how many in are we? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's Viridian right here. Oh, I'll just look under. Which one am I under? Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of a turquoise. I like it, but the colors are not coming up like I would expect. This one is called Cerulean Blue, which I use in skies a lot. Yeah, more of a cyan or a, gosh, I'm not good at all the color names, but that doesn't look like the cerulean. It's sure is vibrant. I wonder if they mix dyes with these, which is something that is fairly common in some of the budget paints that I found. Wait a second. This is supposed to be Prussian blue? Hold the boat here. That one is this one. Yeah? All right, well, maybe. We'll just say whatever they call it is fine. And we like these colors, so they'll be fun to use. Cobalt Blue. Oh, that looks like my Smalt Blue from Winsor Newton. And I love it because it makes nice delicate shadows. I love it for accentuating highlights and shadows in seascapes. That's a good color. Ultramarine Blue. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it ultramarine. But, once again, it's a good blue. I like it. We'll keep going. Now we've got purple. Just plain old purple. Oh, that's all right. And what's next? Permanent violet. Good one. All right, going on. Yeah, these are pretty. The next one is greenish yellow. To me, I bet this is going to be more of a yellowish green. No, it's greenish yellow. I don't know, people. If you like painting bugs or spring leaves, that'd be a good color to have. Let's see, olive green. I found the most interesting beetle today. Speaking of bugs, oh, that's a very nice olive green. It's called a 10-line June beetle. It was enormous. It was about 1 inch long, and it was just sitting there out. This one's called olive brown. It was just sitting there out on my on my driveway, and it kind of scared me, but it looked harmless. Olive brown. That one I'm envisioning. It's a good color for dirt. Lots of landscapes, maybe even horses, leather. Let's see. Next one is green gray. Oh, love that one. That looks like pine trees. Spruce, very nice. Next one, malachite green. Must be this guy here. Yep. Yeah, kind of an emerald green. Not a color I use very often, but it is very pretty. Now let's look at deep phthalo green. I have to figure out where I am on this. Here we go. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. That PB 15:3, 15, I think you just say 15:3. I don't know, doesn't matter. It's a real common color for phthalo blue and phthalo green, and that's a nice one. Let's see, Van Dyke brown. Van Dyke brown, and that is under this one. Yep, that's Van Dyke brown. Okay. Then we have burnt umber. Oh yeah, that one looks right to me. And the next one is going to be brown red. Oh yeah, that one to me looks like the Indian red that I have on some others. Okay, now we've got light red. These are kind of earth tones. It's not, oh, that's almost like a poppy, an English poppy, or maybe in pumpkins. Can you guys see that? I'll scoot it more over toward the center. I'm sorry if there's a glare from the wet paints here. Let's see, next one coming is raw sienna. Again, a great fall foliage color. Oh, I can't believe it's August 1st today. Oh, I don't have any kids left back to school. All mine are grown, but man. Okay, this one says it's burnt sienna. No. It's PR 101. I've never, burnt sienna is usually PBR 7, which is a brown pigment. I don't know. This one looks more like a terracotta of some kind to me. Doesn't say I don't like it and won't use it. It's certainly a good color, but it just doesn't look at all like burnt sienna. But that's okay. Okay, let's do our last row here, lemon yellow, which is a nice cool yellow to have in your palette. I have to say, you know, if you're going to invest in these paints for just something to have and see if you like watercolor, this is fun. There's a lot of colors here. The only downside would be there are 48 of them. You might get confused. This one's just called yellow. Oh, that is a good solid yellow. Looks like Hansa Yellow Light. You know, I don't know. I like the convenience colors. It is a very good thing to start with a primary set and mix the colors so that you can understand how your paints work for you. But, you know, there's something to be said for trial and error too. And I do like having these colors just right there and easy, ready to use, so you don't have to think. Orange, just your basic orange. Yep, that looks like orange. These are quite bright. Like I said, it leads me to believe that perhaps there's some dyes mixed in. Orange and then vermilion. Yeah, that's a good one too. Scoot this over again so you can see the rest of this. Now we're heading on to Scarlet. Yeah, that's a good red. And then we've got permanent red. Okay. Looks a little purpley to me to be permanent red, but it might dry differently. I don't know. Let's see here. Permanent rose is next. That's a fun one. It was my favorite color when I was a little girl. I thought the crayon said Magneta. So that's what I called it, Magneta. Let's look at Rose Madder. Very nice. And finally we've got these last three, which are Crimson Lake. Kinda. It looks like, to me, it looks like there's a dye in there. And Cool Pink, I think that says. Cold Pink, sorry. Cold Pink. Oh. That looks like a little purpley pink. And then finally we'll do Opera Rose, which is going to be almost like a neon. Opera Rose is a good color, yeah. Okay, let me pan this under the camera so that you guys can see what we've done here. We'll start with our little sheet of black that we did. Here is the white that I think acts like gouache. The pearl white, I don't know, can you pick up the iridescence in that? The silver looks a lot like the white, doesn't it? But yet it does have some iridescence. The gold, I love the gold. I think it's a really good gold. And the copper, I sure like it better on the black paper than on the white. So there you go. This is not a very opaque gouache at all. Let's see what happens if we put a second coat on here real quick. I guess you don't call it a coat. Second wash. Glaze over it. Let's see what that does. Doesn't look like it's going to do much. Okay. You know, to be honest, you don't really use the white and watercolor too much unless you're making something into a pastel, and I'll give you an example. Here's the purple on the black, which, as you can see, is not going to dry very opaque at all. However, if you were to mix some white with it, then you can make this lavender. I'm mixing on the paper, but you know, you can imagine what that would be like to mix on your palette, of course. So yeah, you could make a nice little flower out of that somehow. But yeah, this one is not going to show up. So that white, I would say, save it, use it for making pastel shades of whatever you want of any of these 48 that are in here. The paper I used to do this swatch is Canson Heritage Rough. These 1, 2, 3, 4, these first four are the pearlescent ones. I could tell on my camera, I hope you guys can, that it's got a good bit of iridescence. Those would be a lot of fun to play with for crafts or to accent pieces. Like I said, I personally just don't do it. There's the white on white, kind of pointless, but you know, it's there, so we tested it. And then we'll go through the rest of these here so that you can see. None of them really granulated, which is okay. I don't see any, these paints would just be for fun. You know, they call them professional. I don't know that that means that they're artist quality. In fact, for my swatch test, I would say they are definitely not. They're more of a student grade paint, hobby grade paint. But there is nothing wrong with that. There are so many valid uses for this palette, and I think they would really help you create some beautiful paintings, which is what I'm going to do to try and test these out in a painting for you. And we'll see what I can come up with. Okay, I will show you that next.